Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
I'm ready. There, I think we're ready. Okay, I'll call the Ag and Rural Committee for January 21st, to order. Approval of the minutes, please. So move. Is there a second? Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed, a like sign. Ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Public appearance for non-agenda items. Mika, you're up. So, yeah, in any one of the spots there, make sure you have the green button pushed. And Mika is running for. He will be our alderperson from District 4 because he has no opposition, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
And so he will introduce him. How do you say your last name?
So it's Micah Ladase.
Ladase,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, and if you met me before this, you know this is not my normal voice.
Oh, well, there's stuff going around.
Yeah. I actually feel fine. Just lost my voice a couple days ago, so
Okay.
I'll keep it brief.
Okay.
So I am on the ballot for Alder, District 4. I live in Wildwood South, so just south of Lacey on Cambrian Circle. I've lived here 6 years and then lived in Southwest Madison, very close to Fitchburg for a decade before that. So I'm just here to introduce myself. I know that a lot of the work you guys do directly impacts District 4, so I'm just looking forward to meeting everyone and coming to these meetings, hearing what you're doing, and getting to know everyone more in the future.
Micah, couple questions. First of all, what is your goal or what is your objective once you get on to the Planning Commission?
Council?
Or on the council, on the council.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things I want to do is try to improve communication between the alders and the residents of the district. So I'm looking for creative ways or ways that I can get information about what's happening in council out to the members of District 4. I think there's been some gaps there in the past, and so whether that's an email list, whether that's if you have neighborhood associations, I'd be happy to attend meetings. Just coming up with better ways so that we have a direct line between your alders and the members of the district. So that's a big thing that I'd like to address.
What about the district you're representing? We're talking about a district that is rural residential. What do you know about the district, and what objectives would you like to be able to support for our district that you maybe have looked into?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to A big thing of what I'm doing here is I'd like to learn more, especially I don't have an agriculture background or a farming background, so that's a big thing I'd like to learn from the residents of the district, especially those in the rural and agricultural areas. So I'd like to spend some time with people from the district, people that have been here for a long time, and learn the history of Fitchburg. Like I said, I've been in the Madison area for over 20 years, but I'd like to learn more of the history of Fitchburg and the agriculture and farming history of Fitchburg, and use that to kind of influence decisions so I can better represent the members of the district. I mean, if you have a question about like specific.
No, so what do we need to do to give you this information that you think, or this learning curve that you say you're?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to meet with anyone personally. Anything that concerns a member of the district is something that I am willing to take on and learn more about. So, I mean, I know there has been, I've watched every single meeting of the Greenfield Steering Committee, so I'm well familiar with some of the conversations that went along there. And so I think that there is, a balance that can be had between development and doing it in the right places, and then respecting the existing residents of a district and their wishes. And I think that we can find a balance between those things. And so it's just, I'm willing to work with the members of the district to do that.
I think there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom, especially in Deanna as a resource, and any person very versed in urban planning, into preservation of rural lands and a municipality's desire or a developer's desire to grow vertically versus outward. I think that's one of the, I don't know if I'd call it one of the tasks of this committee, is to help facilitate that change to how do we grow as a community, how does the city of Fitchburg grow without taking away from its rural heritage?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is there's a balancing act between, some people don't want to see high density development, but high density development is also the trade-off between expanding outward. And so you have to look at each individual decision and balance that between the two things. And so I totally agree with you that there is something to be said for finding the right areas to do higher density development so that you can use that to, if you're going to do that along, say, like transportation corridors. I currently sit on the Transportation and Transit Committee. So if we can build along transportation corridors so that we can have that development there, we can hopefully preserve some of the existing land and prevent us from going outward. Because I would like to see development along those transit corridors and supporting the transit within the city and hopefully expanding that as well.
It's going to take some, in order to do what you just said, it's going to take some redevelopment. In order to redevelop, it's going to take some work sitting down with the existing owners and convincing them why they should redevelop the buildings that they already have. And that's not going to be an easy task, but I think it has to be. If it's made formed correctly and done correctly, I think you can redevelop some of the existing corridors that already have sewer and water and transportation without urban sprawl.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're hopefully going to have BRT coming down Fish Hatchery Road. And so, doing development along that so we can support the transportation that's going to come in. I think that would be a really good scenario to have, is to be able to support development along those transportation corridors.
Okay. Part of the problem that in the rural area, there is no, the FACTv is a great product we have, but it doesn't reach everybody. In the rural areas, it does not reach anybody. So unless you can go to a hotspot or something like that, but Charter has no lines out there. There's basically no one has. There's some dial-up lines out there which are, you could watch it, the meeting today, maybe next week, but.
Yeah, I'd ask what is a good communication method for those areas? I mean, aside from me just going door to door every quarter.
I wish I knew the answer to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. But that is a problem we have. And there was a study, Don Roger was part of that, for trying to get some of the expansion of the, help me out there, Roger, broadband into some of the rural areas. And there was, I think, they looked for, a former member of this committee, who was our alder, they looked for a provider to work with. And the provider will only provide if there's enough residences in a given mile. Otherwise, they aren't interested. They just really aren't interested. So the city did not want to take that on themselves to install it, and then, but that might be the only way it can be done. So.
Well, I did hear that there were at some point, maybe annual or semi-annual meetings that went on in certain neighborhoods, then maybe we could look at something like that. I mean, I know that when I lived in Madison, I sat in our neighborhood association, and our alder came to all of our neighborhood association meetings just to check in and say, this is what happened in council in the last month or 2 months or however it had been since you met. And so if there's something we could set up where, I mean, it's not going to get everyone, but if it could get the people who are interested, maybe we could set something up. So it's
another problem that in the rural area is there's probably 2 votes in a house in a 40-acre field. But a 40-acre field in your neighborhood has a lot of votes. Mm-hmm. So there's a real inequity. That's one of the disadvantages of incorporation. And if I was on the council or on the town board when we incorporated, so I'm very well aware of that was not. It did not go the way that they had hoped it would. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
The rural people have been left short. So, any other questions of the committee?
I've got one more.
Go ahead, Roger.
You say you've been watching FACTv and everything. As you well know, there's really some interest in working with the comprehensive plan for this coming year. And the comprehensive plan involves the rural area. Some real big decisions will be made because, quite frankly, that's where it appears that the expansion for single-family homes and whatnot will go. What is your thoughts on the comprehensive plan, or if you had a chance to study it or understand where it is and why it is and where we might, any of the discussion about expansion at this time?
I mean, I can't speak to any thoughts around what's going to be expanded in it. I haven't spoken to anyone who has ideas around that currently. But I mean, I know that the update to the comprehensive plan is coming. I know that from what I've heard, we have the South Sonar Prairie plan and the Greenfield plan coming. I don't know of any plans currently to expand beyond that. I would have to look at any sort of individual, proposal to something to see how I would evaluate that. But yeah, as far as I know, I don't know of anything that's been proposed.
Well, it appears that there's a potential growth into the area that you'll be representing. So you're certainly going to, the constituents of the rural landowners and whatnot will, once that starts, I would say that's probably going to be something that's going to be brought out and you'll be involved in that. So might keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd love to have those discussions around that. I mean, I understand, like I said, I think that if we're going to do development in the city, I mean, I know that housing is a contentious issue. I know that there is a lack of housing in Dane County. I mean, I know that there is. But I think we can add housing in Fitchburg smartly, and that we can do it responsibly, and that we can work with existing neighbors and landowners to respect their wishes.
What does adding housing smart?
Well, I got you.
What does adding housing smartly, like what does that mean to you?
So as we kind of discussed earlier, like I think we should be, if we're going to do high density, medium density development, we should be doing it around the transportation corridors that we have in the city. So, Fish Hatchery Road 14, the transportation corridor that we're going. And so hopefully if we can do more development around there, get those transportation corridors to be used, then we can preserve some of the existing rural areas that are so important to people in Fitchburg. So that's kind of what I'm referring to.
Highway 14 is a transportation corridor, but there's not much access to it from where there's going to be residential housing at this time.
Sure.
So the downtown area, when that ever becomes into more development than it is, there may be some spots there, but that has access to 14. But for the most part, south of Lacey Road, there's no access till you get to Oregon. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just referring to like existing transportation routes, so existing bus routes, and then BRT is going to come down.
I was just pointing out that 14 isn't one that you can really count on. Fish Hatchery Road is.
Yeah.
So, and if you've watched the Greenfield meetings.
Yeah, all of them.
I think you probably have a pretty good idea what the neighborhood's ideas are.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that I do think that the final plan I think this came to a compromise. I have some good friends in Greenfield, and so, I hear the way they feel about it and the way that, and so it's, but I do think that as those meetings progressed, the city was able to take some of that feedback, and I do think that they did take some of that feedback, and so I just hope that as a council member that I can work with those members of the Greenfield Association, because I mean, a lot of what I heard in those meetings was that what was happening, or the planning that was happening, wasn't being communicated to them, or that they weren't hearing about meetings in advance, they weren't hearing about the plans as they were being created. And I mean, that's my job as a council member, is to communicate that to the residents of the district. And so I want to bridge that gap so that not only can they have their voices heard in the district, but that they know what is actually happening and what is going on at council meetings and what is going into these plans in advance, so that they can make decisions about how they feel about it and communicate that back to me so I can take that feedback. I think there's definitely some gaps there that can be filled.
I think that I'll give a little bit of an opinion here, but I think the way that I've felt as a landowner in District 4 regarding neighborhood plans really wasn't an issue regarding communication. I did feel that the process was maybe adequately or appropriately communicated. What I felt that I noticed or observed was more of a concern about not being heard. And I think it goes back to that treating the symptom or treating the, whatever that saying is, the disease. Thank you.
I'm a care worker. What can I say?
I feel that I saw a lot of sort of scapegoating on the communication because it's harder to address not feeling like you're heard. But you have a unique district in being sort of the last remaining portion of rural community in a quickly sprawling urban community. And as we addressed a little bit earlier, I don't remember if it was on record or prior, but I think on record. But being heard and having a voice is not, your voice is one portion of the overall population, not of the percentage share of land that you hold. And so there's a gross disparity between that when it comes to your voice and your opinion. So I would expect that District 4 you're going to hear a lot of concern about being heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sympathetic to that. I think that's hard. I think that sometimes when you hear what a person's saying, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to agree with them, or that what they want to happen is going to happen. And I think that's difficult. I think you have to try to come to a consensus. I think when I talk about communication, I think that I would like to get more people to be heard in the district, in addition to just the ones that are able to come to a meeting on like a Tuesday night at 6:30. And so that's part of setting up kind of the communication network that I'd like to with the district, is that it's hard for people with families and kids to come out to public meetings. And so I'd like to find additional ways to have other people get their voices heard too. But I completely understand what you're saying. I think that when you go out and you tell the city the same thing over and over and over again, and you feel like they keep making decisions that go against what you just told them you want to happen, is hard. And but part of the job of an alder is to kind of balance those opinions with all of the opinions in the district as well.
It is challenging because I don't want to put the city in a position that they're perceived to not be doing their job. It is the responsibility of the municipality to provide for its citizens, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. There's just a conflict of interest for people with century farms or long-standing history in the land that they live on, and not being heard may just be a product of differing opinions.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like the area that you're representing, which, I mean, I don't know if you really want this job because you're going to hear from us.
No, I would love to hear from you.
But the area that you're representing, like you're dealing with, I don't know, like I apologize, I'm late. I work in healthcare, and so some days when you work in healthcare and when you farm, sometimes you're on the patient's time, sometimes you're on the animal's time. That's my life, so I apologize. But so like you're dealing with like, well, I can speak for myself. Like I'm 5th generation on my family farm. You're dealing with like my neighbor, he's 7th generation. So like you are dealing with a lot of, Adam was getting to this, like long-standing farm families. And so there's not a lot of us left. So you're going to find a lot of us are going to be kicking and screaming and just trying to preserve what little we have left. And I would say like development is not a popular topic amongst us because like a lot of people, it's easy for them to say, oh, like my kids didn't want it. We turned away, whatever. Like I'm 36. I'm just getting started. And I have a pretty big stretch of farmland myself. And so, I think just preserving farmland and just I think it's important to be aware of like who we are. Like we are the original Fitchburg. And so I think it's important as an alder. I feel very disconnected from our council because I don't think if I handed a pitchfork to any one of them, like I don't even know that they would really know what to do with it. So like, I mean that in the nicest way possible, but just the disconnect is like my example. Like I'm sure some of our council members would try, right? They would try, but we do feel like a huge disconnect, and so I guess just be prepared to hear from us.
How would you like to bridge that disconnect?
I think maybe like spending a little time with us, like coming to like a farm or like like just understanding how we live a little bit. Like we're not big city, like I don't have high-speed internet. I was very lucky to get Starlink, but like we don't have, like we are just very different from like where you live.
Can we set that up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I welcome you.
All right. Happy to do it.
Okay,
So, yeah.
great.
Okay, any other people in the council or on the group have any questions or thoughts?
Why is everybody looking at me?
Because you looked like you were taking a deep breath to say something.
I guess I could say a few things. As a longtime resident of Fitchburg, I just don't understand really your passion for wanting to go ahead and do this. I know you spoke to the communication breakdown and all. But I would like to hear a little more about, your background as far as, do you have any family that's been in agriculture at all? Or, I mean, you must have some passion for Fitchburg's ag land because of the, Fitchburg's a city with the most acreage of ag land in the state as far as the city goes. I mean, and it kind of concerns me too when you're on the Transit Commission, how you think that would connect to the rural landowners as far as our needs and, with infrastructure that goes along with it. And what type of ag would you like to see? Because we've lost a lot of the large dairy farm and a lot of the cash crop farmers are, they're getting frustrated, I think, with dealing with transportation and taking care of the land. And I just like to hear what you have to say about that, and why you want to represent this district with not much background by the sounds of it, which I know it's a hard find to get a representative for District 4 that has got background with these issues. So if you could address that.
Well, I have a passion for local government in general. So I've been involved in local government since I purchased my first house. So, I was involved in school government when I was in school. When I bought my first house, I immediately became a member of the neighborhood association in Madison. When I moved here, I was one of the 24 viewers of the FACTv videos when I started moving here.
Big fan.
See, yeah. And so and then I sat on transportation committee for the last 3 years. So, I have a passion for local government. I think that you can make a difference in local government that you can't make in, volunteering for a federal or state position. And so I like to make differences in the communities that I live in. And so for running for council, I live in District 4, and so I have a passion for the city government and this local government itself. As far as my background, yes, I don't have an agricultural background. My mother grew up on a farm she lived with her great-grandparents, so I have the stories that she told me growing up, but I grew up in Eau Claire and, a house in Eau Claire. And so, as a representative of District 4, like I said, I don't have a farming background, but that's why I'm here in January.
And you're coming to hang out with me.
Yes, and we're going to set up time to hang out. But yeah, that is why I'm here in January. I'm here, and that's why I'll be here at probably the next couple meetings that you have going forward. And if I'm seated on this committee, then all the committee meetings going forward is because I want to learn what's going on in this community, and I want to be able to represent the community. That's it. And so It's not my background, but I want to learn from all of you. I want to know what's going on in this committee and these meetings, and hopefully be a good representative of your interests.
Well, I appreciate
exactly. That's good stuff.
you coming here and wanting to get together and meet us and represent us. That's very welcome.
Can't ask any more than that.
Very good. Any other thoughts from the committee? We look forward to seeing you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, and,
next time I talk to you, I will sound like a normal person, hopefully.
There you go. You're
This is
doing
not my
fine.
normal voice.
You're doing
Everyone
fine.
is sick.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, you're not. Doing a lot of talking lately.
Very good. Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda review. Deanna.
I do not have any changes for the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Deanna. Agenda items, rezoning RZ 2578-25, request by Edward Cody to rezone from AX exclusive agriculture to RR residential, rural residential, to allow for a rural residence located off Orchard Road. We have seen this before, and so it's just come back for another visit. So
Yes, it has. So as was mentioned, staff believes that this 3-acre parcel was created in 1962 at the time, and it is currently zoned AX. Last year, this committee approved a minor comp plan amendment to change the future land use from agriculture to rural residential. This next step is to rezone the parcel from exclusive ag, AX, to rural residential. And this rezone step would allow for the development of a single-family home on this parcel. So, the staff does make some recommendations, even though this particular project does not need to conform to all of the requirements of the rural residential development criteria, because we're not creating a parcel under the rural residential development criteria. Staff is suggesting that the applicant for rezone conform to those applicable requirements of the rural residential development criteria, namely record a right to farm statement, avoid buildings in environmental sensitive areas, try to protect any woodland cover, and definitely protect heritage trees. So there's a couple of additional criteria of the RRDC that may be waived that are not particularly applicable here. History of tillage, in the aerial photographs, I did not see that this particular lot was tilled since the 1960s. This is, of course, residential infill with development on either side of the parcel. And then, of course, to prevent any erosion. So staff does recommend approval of the rezone with 10 conditions, and happy to answer any questions.
Deanna, can you explain the right to farm condition here, as it has no history of tillage and it has no apparent potential for tillage?
Right. So the right to farm is what we require when there's a new residential lot created out in the rural area. And what that says is it just acknowledges that the surrounding land uses are agriculture. So you can't sue your neighbor for spreading manure.
Okay.
That's what that document
Okay, it's not
says.
recording a right to farm on the property, it's the surrounding
saying
community
that
has the right to farm.
It's just recognizing that this is rural area. And it allows the future landowners to know of this that this is rural. And so there's going to be tractors, and it might not
Mooing
always
cows.
smell great. That's what that means.
Rutting pigs.
Yeah.
Does the landowner object to any of the conditions?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
Got rid of them for winter?
Okay. Any other questions of the committee? Like I said, we've seen this before,
Yeah,
so.
looks good. No questions.
Yeah, if not, ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezone application.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to, for RZ 2578-25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, a like sign. Ayes have it. It is moved forward. Thank you.
Sorry, I know it's closed, but my motion would be with staff recommendations, right? We understand that? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Item B, Deanna.
So the well, as you've noted this evening, the well ordinance update has not been referred out to council, and so it has not come to you as an ordinance update. Staff continues to work on it, and hopefully we can push this forward next month. But
So I would hope by our next meeting, we would have it as an actual agenda item for approval, because I think I've been looking at this for well over a year now. No pun intended, well over a year.
There you go.
So I think we're done looking at it, and it needs to go forward.
I will duly communicate that.
It has been a while, so, cool.
Like 2 years or something, right?
It's been a while. So, and I just hope that we can get a resolution before there is an incident that causes a severe hardship to some of the landowners.
Oh, well.
So, anyway,
Oh, well.
okay. Thank you, Deanna, for that.
It happens here, well.
Item C is this city planning efforts update.
Yeah, so I just want to I have a couple of slides just to give you all an update. The consultants on the neighborhood plans, this will be South Stoner and Greenfield. They are right now working on the draft plans. Staff has worked on a couple of different memos. One of those memos is a response to the Greenfield petition. We're finalizing that memo. We'll get that out to the community as a response to the items on the petition to say, yes, some of these items we can accommodate. Some of the items are a little more difficult. The memo will explain how we can accommodate what was requested in the petition from the Greenfield neighborhood. Another memo is just looking at sanitary sewer in Greenfield. The administration is still reviewing that. When that is complete, we'll get that out to Greenfield too. I know that sanitary and the issues surrounding extension of sanitary sewer in Greenfield is very controversial. So hopefully that memo will have some explanation. The third memo is just some more internal stuff with the timeline for the neighborhood plans. And like I said, right now we're preparing the draft plans. We do expect to have one more steering committee for each neighborhood plan at this particular point. And then what we would do is refer out to council and then hit all of the committees, commissions, and including you. Well, the neighborhood plans will come to you. So happy to take any questions about that.
What was I know the Wabesa Watershed Group.
Yes, thank you.
Came in, and how are where is that at and what?
Good question. I neglected yes, there was an extensive letter that staff received from the Wabeso Wetlands Group. The memo regarding the petition is also including specific comments to each one of those requests from the Wabeso Wetlands Group, too.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Deanna on those? Thank you.
So I'll keep you posted. If you'll so allow me, I'll just give you a quick year in review. We finished up our 2024. This kind of gives you a look at how our numbers of applications reviewed. Plan Commission in 2024 reviewed 66 applications, 5 of which came to you all. And then there was another 41 agenda items. So kind of gives you an idea of how 24 matched up in terms of past years. Happy to talk a little bit more. And this is not all of the applications that staff reviews goes to Plan Commission or to committee. So planning staff reviewed over 540 applications, agenda items this last year. Just gives you kind of an idea of the things that are happening behind the scenes.
Deanna, the greens are pretty similar to me. Am I seeing that the brunt of the workload in the review process is ADR, architectural design review, or zoning? I would think zoning.
Yep, those are the zoning permits. So once things get through Plan Commission and like this project, with every building permit, there's also a zoning permit. And so that's what those are.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, maybe you've had one of those.
Yes, I just did,
Amy.
not too long ago. Yeah, sounds very familiar.
Yep. So just wanted to give you a little recap so you can kind of understand a little bit what we're working on. The other things that we worked on this in 2024 was the Parks and Open Space Plan, the Teen Center Feasibility Study. We processed 10 minor comp plan amendments, was high for us. Update to the BH zoning, and then we've started the Healthy Neighborhood Strategic Plan. So that's kind of a quick recap of the stuff that the planning department's been working on. Here's what we're looking for going forward. So staff is working on a request for proposal for the comprehensive plan, and then we are expecting that would include the zoning ordinance rewrite. So that request for proposal is a written document that requests consultants to provide a proposal to the city for doing that work, for doing the comprehensive plan work and for the zoning code rewrite. So staff's working on that right now and putting that document together. I would expect that we would really get going on the comprehensive plan after the neighborhood plans are really wrapped up. The neighborhood plans, of course, are taking quite a bit of staff time. And then I would expect that the comprehensive plan would probably take about 24 months, give or take, and then probably another 12 months for the zoning ordinance rewrite. So this is a long-term process, just to kind of give you an idea. You probably recall that we worked on the rezone for we worked on the code updates for the farmland preservation. If you remember that, we did. We did not totally drop the ball. We're still going to bring those forward. What we found out, that we found, unfortunately, a discrepancy between our AX zoning, what we have zoned here in the city as AX, and what the county has in their farmland preservation map. So we're going to need to take a little more time to work with the county to sort out that. What that means more directly there are a handful of parcels, one of which is the Oregon School District parcel down on Oregon that is zoned AX, but it probably should be zoned AT as egg transitional. They're not using the farmland preservation credits, and because it's in a FUDA right now, it really should be zoned AT instead. So staff needs to work through a handful of those parcels with you all so that our farmland preservation map matches and what our AX zoning matches.
I didn't think we were using egg transitional anymore.
We have a lot of parcels egg transitional.
I know we do, but
Yeah.
I didn't think we were, from the last rewrite we did, there wasn't any more going into that.
I don't know where else to put them.
Okay, that's a good point.
Because I can't put them in. Yeah, and I can't put them into small lot egg. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just those parcels that are in the FUDA?
Yes.
Is that the only one? Oh.
I believe that is the case, is the ones that is not the only parcel that I mentioned that the school district has. I don't have them all in my head. I'm happy to, I don't have it all put together yet, but I know that we need to address it.
Okay, that's fair. Very good.
Well, the mayor has been discussing some minor zoning updates. We'll see about that. We're working on the bike and ped plan, and then we're working on the healthy neighborhood strategic plan. So just wanted to give you all just a little update. Happy to talk more specifics about anything you'd like.
The school district property that's just on the edge of Oregon, it's in the city of Fitchburg, it's just on the edge of Oregon. And that is pretty much all agriculture. What is the timeline of I know the intention of the school district. What is the timeline they're looking at they were going to do some sports fields and different things in there. Do they are they planning on building buildings on it?
Yes, there are plans to build buildings on it too.
Okay.
I've seen some, I don't think anything's been released publicly, but there are plans for buildings.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not just sports fields.
Yeah, they have no place to expand, so they can expand where they are, but then the sports fields have got to move. So.
No, the idea is to have, I think definitely middle school.
Oh, really? Out there?
Yes.
Yeah. Oregon and the Oregon district, which includes us.
Big. I went back to that high school for the first time in, 20 years or something? I can't believe that.
Yeah, it has grown.
It has. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I have. Happy to talk a little bit more specifics if you would like to talk a little more specifics about the comp plan or anything like that. Roger's got his notes out.
Yeah.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anybody have anything to bring up about what Deanna mentioned? About whatever Deanna mentioned here, the comp plan
Any
or the.
questions about that?
Nope. Okay.
I don't think so.
That being said, that brings us down towards the end of our agenda. Any announcements, Deanna?
I do not have any announcements at this point.
I do have one thing we should talk about. It's not on the agenda, but in the past we've had, Roger brought it up tonight, we've had a spring meeting. We did not have one last year.
We did not.
And whether that's something we want to consider. So that's, any thoughts of the committee members?
What's the spring meeting?
Is the possibility still open for Four Winds Farm?
Have you been to one?
Well,
Yes, you have.
What
you
is
have,
the
'cause
spring
you were in
meeting?
the
Well,
crowd before you were on
was
the
a,
committee. I
it
remember
gave
doing
a chance for the
crossword farms.
committee to go out into the public, we used to meet at Durfers, which was actually in the town of Verona, but they offered that facility. And it takes it out of City Hall, which some people have feel more comfortable in a other environment. And so we in the past have always taken one meeting out and met with the public and opened it up to the public as far as taking questions back, meeting the older people, because some of the rural people have no idea who either of their elders are.
It was also an opportunity for campaigning for election.
That couldn't be part of this committee.
No, but we
So
did
we can't mix
adjourn the
those
meeting and
two. But no, it was the meeting first, and then there was, if
Right.
someone cared to stay for the discussion, and later this committee closed and was not part of that.
And I'll just add too, there was an opportunity for different departments to make themselves available for, to answer questions. So, police chief, fire chief, assessing usually comes, whoever.
zoning.
Yeah, we'll show up too. But city staff can make themselves available to answer any questions too.
Is this the same thing but different, or maybe exactly the same thing that we did at Fitchburg's or Four Winds Farms?
Yeah. That was the last one.
That was the last one. Okay, I thought that was in the fall. But
It was like March or February.
It was March, I think.
and there's burgers and cookies there.
Well, there's cookies.
And there was cheese and crackers, I
Cheese and
think.
crackers and
Thanks to Mark.
Yes, he always works so nice, right?
So, anyway, if that's something that we want to do, we should at the next put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and then
Okay,
we're going to meet in February because it's
yeah, I expect, let me think, there's something, I can't remember what was, I do expect you're gonna meet.
Yes.
well, that would be a factor too. So that we'd have to have that done
To find out.
and
Oh,
brought back.
you know what,
for the
Mark?
next
My
meeting.
building might be done by then.
Yeah, we would have to bring that back. So.
We may have a plan B.
Yeah, well, we can always go Durfers.
It's gonna be on dirt.
Yeah, we can always ask Durfers again.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So if they're not available, because they've always been very gracious. So. And John is a Fitchburg resident. So.
Yeah, they have been.
Is that a thing where the venue is compensated, or
No.
it's a volunteer facility?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
They have, so far, they have.
So if we want to talk about that
Yeah,
at the
so
next
far.
meeting, and we'll try to figure out a place between now and then, see what's available, and then we'll
Okay.
bring it back for the February meeting,
Okay.
which will be, I don't know what date that will be, but it'll be, it will be February the 18th. So, all right, any other things to bring before the committee?
Yeah, on page 9 of our packet, was that something that?
Going in reverse there, George.
What was that?
We're going in reverse.
I know. Was that something that I missed that we were going to discuss?
Okay.
Those were comments to the entire agenda outside. None of those are pertinent to the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee.
Okay.
Oh, that was to you.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
It's an interesting reading anyhow.
Yeah, if it's page 9, that's gonna be just part of
9
the
and 10,
packet.
yeah.
Yeah, for the rezone.
Okay. Just a update for everybody, at the solar field on Burn Road, they did come in and regrade the ditch. They did it very late in the year, but they did do that.
Oh, good.
It could have been done a little better, but at least they made an effort to do it, and it should help at least some.
Okay.
We'll have to keep an eye on that in the springtime, so. Any idea when that's gonna come? Will they'll turn the switch on?
I don't know if the switch is on or not. I know it has not reached substantial completion yet.
Okay, so it'll be a while. Okay, very good. And as we said, the other solar field, our third one, is still in the planning process. So
Actually, it'd be our fourth one.
yeah, would that be the fourth one?
Yeah, because
Yeah, you're right. That would be number
Tido.
4. Correct. I stand corrected. Thank you.
You've got Tido, Strix, O'Brien, and then Sunnyside will be the fourth.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, if we have nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 We're adjourned.